This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 4, the movie review of Jurassic World. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot Ian Jones.
You know, buddy, I think I would still go and visit Jurassic World if it opened, regardless of the dinosaurs running around.
You know, when I was watching the movie, one of the things that came to mind was, I think I would, even after all the stuff that happened in Jurassic Park, I would probably still go to Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Maybe to be a volunteer to round up the dinosaurs that have taken over this $1 trillion park.
Before we get deep into the Jurassic World movie here, our trailer for this week is Terminator Genisys. Now, this movie already looks confusing as hell to me. I don't know what's going on with this movie. Like, John Connor is a robot, but not really. Like, what is going on with this movie?
Right. Well, and it may be that this is finally the first real sequel to Terminator 2. At least that's what I'm hearing from people like James Cameron.
It's I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it, and it definitely almost seems like it's just erasing all the other movies. Like, Days of Future Past erased that bad X-Men movie.
Well, maybe that's a good thing, but we'll see. I think the problem that I have with this trailer is that I think it's showing way too much. They've shown that, well, John is a machine, which I think should be like the thing that blows your mind when you're seeing it for the first time. Or that,
yeah, I would think that too.
Yeah, or that Grandpa Arnold is fighting 80s Arnold. Yeah.
Those are all things that they shouldn't show in the trailer. It definitely would be better if they just kind of surprised you during the movie.
You know, the thing too that I was really surprised about is that the girl is Emilia Clarke, Daenerys from Game of Thrones, which I didn't even recognize her. And I saw the trailer a bunch of times.
Is it actually her?
Yeah, it is. She looks completely different.
She does look completely different. You're talking about the one that's playing Sarah Connor?
Yeah, the mother of dragons.
Whoa, jeez. She looks completely different in this
I know,
movie than
right?
she does in Game of Thrones. I didn't even know that. She looks totally different. The other thing that I do enjoy about the trailer, though, is the T-1000 is back.
Right.
And that was always such a cool character in the second movie. And it was like they had just figured out that morphing technology and they just went crazy with it. And so it seems like we're going to have some more T-1000 fun in this one. So I can't wait for that.
And I think arguably that is still the best one. You know, they've tried to top it with other Terminators, but that really is, I think, the best one still after all these years.
Yeah, I agree. It's just really, really, really good. It's definitely one of my favorite action movies.
You know, what's funny, too, is I'm looking at Google has the cast, you know, how you search something and
oh, yeah,
it'll to the right sort of give you a little thing in the cast. The photo of Arnold looks like it's from 20 years ago next to current photos of the cast. It's like a photo of him when he first took office as Governator. Like, he doesn't look like that anymore. And it's all like proper. Are you checking that out?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That does look. It looks like his
Arnold.
It definitely looks like his governor photo.
Right, yeah. Like when he first took office and he was still married to Skeletor.
That's great. Now that we're done with this trailer, Jones, let's go ahead and get into the movie review. All right. John Hammond's vision is finally realized through Jurassic World, but after a decade of operation, the upcoming attraction, Indominus Rex, runs amok, turning his dream into a nightmare once again. This movie is directed by Colin Trevorrow, who hasn't done a lot. It seems like the only movie that you probably have seen him do is Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah.
This movie's starring Chris Pratt, who... he is blowing up, man. His career has gotten extremely successful these past few years.
Yeah, and I think it's great because I was a huge fan of his from Parks and Rec, and he seems like just a really good guy, and he is pretty much, becoming one of Hollywood's top stars.
Yep. And so he was in the movie Wanted, the Lego Movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy is awesome.
It is actually one of the best Marvel movies, in my opinion. I think it's one of the better ones. It's really well done. And when I went to go see that, or even before I went to go see it, I was really concerned about that movie. Like, I didn't think it was going to be very good, but it ended up just being really, really good. And so I can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah, and that's really one of the franchises too, which I think you could agree that they could really easily mess that up, and I think they benefited from having all of these successful movies like the Iron Man franchise and X-Men, so they were able to iron out the kinks, because Guardians was not really even that known to me, and I grew up reading comics, and I avoided them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't really know much about Guardians of the Galaxy at all, and I just definitely not one of their mainstream characters, but they did a really good job in that movie. It was great. We have Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire, who's the sister of Karen and the aunt of the little boys in the movie. She was in The Village, Lady in the Water, Spider-Man 3, and Terminator Salvation, which that means that she's been in far too many M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Yeah, well, maybe that's fitting. I can't stand Bryce Dallas Howard, so
wow,
I was really hoping she'd get eaten by something in this.
What is your problem?
Here's the thing about her.
Howard.
She can act for sure. She's somewhat attractive in a Children of the Corn sort of way. But it's like her dad is famous, so she should be too. And she just is always so weird. Every time I see her, and maybe it's just the movies she does, but it seems like, that episode of South Park where they have all the kids with the red hair? And
I don't watch South Park.
Okay, well, it's like that. If anyone's seen that episode where the kids that are all redheads are just creeping everyone out, it's like that with her.
All right, next up we have Vincent D'Onofrio as Hoskins, guy that works for Engine. He was in Men in Black, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and Daredevil, the Netflix series.
Probably the thing I've liked him in the most has been Daredevil.
Yeah, he does a really good Kingpin, and I can't wait to get some more seasons of that, like, soon. Next up, we have Ty Simpkins as Gray. He's just the younger brother. He played in Insidious and Iron Man 3.
Yep, he's the little kid who gives Tony Stark crap in Iron Man 3.
Yep. Irfan Khan as Simon Masrani, who was in The Amazing Spider-Man, Life of Pi, and a lot of Bollywood movies.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm kind of curious I'm thinking about looking him up and seeing if I can't see him singing and dancing, because I think that would be interesting. His character is basically the new John Hammond, continuing his dream. Next up is Nick Robinson as Zach, who's in The Kings of Summer, which I actually didn't get a chance to see that movie, but I really wanted to go watch that one. That was the one that had Nick Offerman in it, where it's just like an independent movie. It's kind of one of those movies I don't typically watch, but because Nick Offerman was in it, I wanted to just give it a shot anyway.
Right. We'll go see anything with Nick Offerman in it, I think.
I like Nick Offerman. Jake Johnson as Lowry, who's in very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, 21 Jump Street, and Neighbors. And his character is actually just kind of the comic relief in the movie. They keep cutting to him throughout the entire movie, and he's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Omar Sy as Barry, who was in a lot of French movies, but he also played Bishop in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that was him.
So he is officially the only black guy to ever survive a Jurassic Park.
Yes, he is.
So I think he should get a medal for that.
I was so surprised that he survived. I was like, oh, wait, he lives.
Right.
Next up, B.D. Wong is Dr. Henry Wu, who returns.
Yeah, he's the only original returning cast member.
Yep. He was in The Karate Kid Part 2, Jurassic Park, and Mulan. And, I'm going to take a second here to give you some credit, Jones.
Oh, yeah?
When we first saw, it was like a publicity photo back when they released that fake website for Maserati.
Yeah.
And it had that publicity photo that looked like a stock photo of B.D. Wong. And I remember showing that to you, and you made a very interesting statement. You were like, it would be nice if he was just the villain all along. And it's and it's almost exactly like that in the movie. It's so weird. I was like, Jones called this months ago.
As it turns out, he is quite the ass.
Yes,
in the world of Jurassic Park and cloning dinosaurs. And what's crazy is, I'll get into it later, but the fact that he isn't in handcuffs and he gets away means that this could just happen on an island again in another 10 years or so. And I'd go see it.
Yeah, I'd go see it too. Next up, we have Judy Greer again, who... she has been very busy. It's like, man, because she was also in Tomorrowland, and she's going to be an Ant-Man also.
Yeah, we're fans of Judy Greer, and I think I would have rather have seen her a bit more than Bryce Dallas Howard. So
she shows up in Three Kings, What Women Want, with Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt.
Ah, yes, Helen Hunt.
Yes, the lost Helen Hunt. And Marmaduke. That awful movie. All right. Now that we're done with these characters, Jones, let's go ahead and get into our quirks and likes.
All right.
All right, so here's our quirks and likes section. Let's go ahead and start with one of my quirks here. First quirk I have is Colin Trevorrow is no Steven Spielberg. So one of the things that's great about the original Jurassic Park is that there's a lot of iconic scenes in that movie. I mean, me and you watched it probably like about a week ago, right?
Yeah.
Those shots are just unbelievable sometimes, and they're very iconic, and he's just not quite there. And you can tell. So like the direction of the movie is okay, but it's definitely no Steven Spielberg.
And I think that's an interesting point that leads into one of the things I wanted to mention about it is,
all right.
So in comparison between the first two directors and this movie and the last movie, really Jurassic Park and John Hammond's vision of it was more of a like nature preserve as opposed to a theme park. Whereas this is definitely a theme park, and it's sort of like, it's almost the anti John Hammond. It's like his thing on steroids.
Yeah, it really is. And I think as much as they keep mentioning that it's his vision, it definitely does seem a little too much to count for his vision.
Yeah, like the whole thing is big and impressive, but it's a bastardization of what he was thinking. It's more like SeaWorld, except, Jurassic World, they treat the animals better.
Oh, okay, that's in there. Well, I guess SeaWorld will never be a sponsor, but that's okay. One of the other quirks I had in this movie is Indominus Rex. There's a scene with Chris Pratt's character, Mr. O'Grady, and he when they first get Indominus Rex, he's covers himself in like oil to remove his sense of smell, because obviously this sense of smell is a major part of this Indominus Rex. And the thing that's weird is it's almost like that doesn't really come up again through the rest of the movie. So all the other encounters with Indominus Rex where they're like hiding behind a car, which happens a few other times, it's like he still can't find them, which I thought was weird because that whole sense of smell thing was in the first time you encounter it. And so that just kind of bothered me.
Yeah, and no one, he goes right from that scene to going into a control room and no one mentions the smell. Like that Chris Pratt the entire time has been walking around in this really, like, was that the brake line or what was that he cut to cover himself?
It was a brake line or an oil line or something. And it's just... And his smell is mentioned earlier too, with Claire.
Yeah, but that was before he even did that, right? I mean, that was that's just his normal. Well, I work with velociraptors and I don't shower. Smell.
Well, it's just weird that she would mention the smell there, but not the brake fluid.
Maybe it was an improvement.
I guess that is a possibility. The only other quirk I had about this movie was it's another one of those times where I feel like they were advertising just a little too much to me with the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And that Mercedes that Bryce Dallas Howard is driving around, there's a scene in the commercial for the car that I thought was filmed for just that
the
commercial. But that scene is in the movie.
Yeah.
And I was very ticked off at seeing that because it looks like a car commercial. It's like all of a sudden they decided to pick up Michael Bay to film those scenes.
Well, there's an ad for Coca-Cola in it. There's an ad for, 1992 Jeep Wranglers, which even though it was great to see those old gas-powered Jeeps, again, there's a weird commercial for those.
I hate when it's so obvious to me that they're advertising to me. I understand that movies get sponsors, and even just the scene where he takes that Coke and just drinks the Coke, like it's a Coke bottle, but they don't actually say that it's Coke. You just know that it's there. It's just kind of in the background and how it's filmed. But that car is it's the car commercial. It's actually the car commercial. God, it bothers the heck out of me.
Verizon, wasn't it Verizon who was going to sponsor Indominus Rex or something like that, which a character actually calls them out on.
Yeah, too, he does. And even the other advertisements that I notice don't bother me that much. Like, one of the ones that was there was when they go into that place where they have like the holographic images of the dinosaurs, that place is called like the Samsung Innovation Center. And so like I noticed that, but then again, I'm okay with it because that's exactly what happens in those theme parks.
And arguably there would be a Hilton there too. Like that does make sense that if you're going to have 20,000 guests, you're going to have this huge hotel.
Yeah. So those kind of make sense to me and bother me less. But man, that Mercedes is just like, damn it.
Right.
I had another quirk here, but I don't think it's much of a quirk anymore. The training the raptors thing I thought was really weird when you look at the trailers and you're like, man, why the heck would they do that? That's just such a stupid thing. But then, like probably a few days before I went to go see the movie, I was thinking to myself, we kind of just do that now anyway with like lions and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not like...
and...
so it makes sense.
And they do at SeaWorld and...
Yeah.
And other places, too. And the Raptors are smart, so that was actually one of my likes about it, is that they showed the evolution of the Velociraptors. And those are such a huge part of the series. Yeah,
so it's... I definitely was okay with it after I really just thought about it. It actually just makes perfect sense that 10 years into this that they would be doing something like that. So it just makes perfect sense. But that's all my quirks, man. So what, got any more over there?
Okay, so if the first rule of Fight Club is don't tell anyone about Fight Club, I think the first rule of any dinosaur theme park / zoo is don't let the dinosaurs out. Okay, so rule number 1, and I feel like that should be posted in a break room. Rule number 2, and there's really only two rules, is that don't get in the cages with dinosaurs. Okay, so don't let them out. Don't get in the cages. And then I would, in parentheses, put especially anything with Rex or Raptor in the name. And in this movie, there's at least like 3 times when they violate rule number 1 and rule number 2. So, Chris Pratt, who is the only guy in Jurassic World with any common sense, violates rule number 2. He gets into a cage with 2 other idiots who may as well have been wearing red shirts on the Enterprise. When they know the dinosaur has to be in there. Now, the dinosaur tricks them, leaves claw marks, makes them think it got away. And they didn't know anything about the dinosaur, that it was, weaponized and it could do all these things like, hide its body temperature so you think it's not in there. But they go ahead and get in there anyway, which is so stupid. I don't even think I would get in there if I was sure it was dead. So they get in there, and then what happens right away? Idiot number 1, like realizing their faux pas, idiot number 1 ignores rule number 1 and opens the gate to let the dinosaur out. So they've broken both rules, and that's really what kicks the movie off. So there needed to be something to kick it into gear. And although Jurassic World has this asset containment SWAT team, they go in with crank darts, stun guns, and like pea shooters, because the CEO points out that the asset is worth billions. So they don't want to kill it, which is funny because that's how much a jury is going to award those 20,000 park goers who were stuck there for 2 days. Getting attacked by pterodactyls and everything else.
Terrible class action lawsuit that are coming up, where everybody gets $1.
Well, I would hope they would get more than that. But, you would think that Masrani and Ingen would definitely, someone's got to go to jail for this. Someone has to go to jail for this. Bryce Dallas Howard spent the entire movie running around Jurassic World in high heels, and I just don't buy it. No way. And why wouldn't she have boots they were ready to run from dinosaurs in the first one, and they didn't even know what they were getting themselves into. She also outran a T-Rex, and I get that it's the original, and it's 20 years old, so it's older, but I don't buy that one either. So the last sequence had the Raptors and the old T-Rex teaming up to take on Indominus.
Yeah.
And even after it's eaten by the Mesosaur, there still is a T-Rex and a Velociraptor running around Jurassic World with everyone there.
Oh, yeah.
No one seems to care that a T-Rex is just now free wandering the park.
Apparently they're perfectly okay with
well, this is better than... Yeah. This is slightly better. I guess there's only one raptor and one Rex. What could go wrong? All right. That's, I think, it for quirks for me.
All right. So now that we're done with your quirks, let's get into my likes. Now, one of the things I loved about this movie is the dinosaurs themselves are actually characters in the movie. The way that they show all the dinosaurs and introduce all the dinosaurs from even just the previous movies and these newer ones that are genetically altered, they are a huge part of this movie. And I really like that they played down a lot of the human stuff, which they definitely had some of that in there, but it was played down and it wasn't as in your face. It's kind of like how you would want the Transformers movies to be, where you need more robots, characters, rather than why you're putting all this human element in it that I don't care about. And so I really enjoyed that they made it seem like they are the characters.
Yeah, they did a great job, especially with the Raptors and with Indominus Rex, because Indominus Rex really does leave you with a really weird feeling, because he's almost acting like a psychopath, like a human, almost running around with a gun and kind of getting away, like going on a mass spree. But really, I thought they gave so much personality to the Raptors that I would have liked to have seen more of just Chris Pratt with the Raptors, as opposed to the little kids and Bryce Dallas Howard. Oh no, our parents are gonna get divorced. It's like, well, wasn't that Lex and Tim's situation 20 years ago? 20 years ago?
They're definitely harking back to that. Another thing I liked about this movie was in Jurassic Park 3, they have those pterosaurs and they're in the bird cage and they're like snatching people up. Well, this one did it the way I wanted to see it, which is an entire group of people outside with a ton of pterosaurs flying around and just snatching people up from the ground. Like, I always loved the fact that if the dinosaurs were still around, I feel like those would be the most terrifying. You wouldn't want to go outside ever. like the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel would be like, it's going to be partly cloudy with an 80% chance of pterodactyls. And you would be running to your car all the time. Like, everyone would be looking up, and every time there was a shadow, you'd be like, ah! It's just a regular bird. Oh, man. I definitely love that about this movie. And even just a lot of it was like a homage to the movie The Birds. Like, all those scenes were real similar to that movie. And I can tell that they kind of had an influence in it with the movie The Birds. The other part I liked about that scene, or that sequence, is when the two boys are in the car, you get a Steven Spielberg-esque filmed reflection that's just kind of at the top, where they realize that these pterosaurs are coming after them and they're looking in the rearview mirror. And I was like, that's a nice little touch there. Even though he's not the director, but clearly there was like a little homage to that, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, there.
But
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to add there. I liked a lot of the little winks that they had, like that, to the original movie. Because there are some little scenes where you see the original park or the gas-powered Jeeps.
Even just Lowry, who was wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people
wearing the original.
Wearing their T-shirts.
Which is in poor taste.
It is in poor taste. But the other, like even just the little scene with Mr. DNA was in there too.
Yeah.
And it's just so great to see all of them paying homage to the original film that frankly was just one of the best movies I've ever seen. And even just the banner that falls at the end of Jurassic Park, they find that banner too. It just had so much in it that paid homage to the original movie. And even the music, I still get goosebumps. Freaking John Williams. The other thing I liked about this movie is it is a fun movie. There's a lot of just fun scenes in there. And especially when they keep going back to Lowry, like when he had the dinosaurs on his desk and Chris Pratt just like knocks all his dinosaurs off, and it just has that same him just being like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
And even just when Chris Pratt's character is talking to Claire and they're arguing about him tracking, and he's just like, I was in the Navy, not the Navajo. And they're just like, they got an extra laugh out of me because, our best friend is Navajo.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, he can't track anyone, though, so.
No, he can't, which is sad.
Oh, he'll never hear this, which is awesome.
And I also liked B.D. Wong being the bad guy. Like, he basically was the bad guy.
He was the entire time.
And I love the scene where you kind of find that out, where he's wearing this black shirt and he almost looks like a Sith Lord. Like, it's all this dark, mysterious music comes on when he shows up and he's talking back and forth with what character was he talking
Masrani.
to? The Masrani, where he's talking to Masrani. And it's just like, man, he's basically just the villain of this whole movie. This is awesome.
Yeah, he's turning the wheels, and he gets away too, which I love. That he completely gets away with it, with all the research.
Which is really insane, because I remember you asking me a question a long time ago that if you watch the movie Aliens, and how would you feel if Paul Reiser just got away?
Oh yeah,
with with an alien embryo, and you're like, well, God, that would just suck. And somehow I don't care in this one. It's like, well, maybe he'll go make another park.
Right. Well, that is a real good one to bring up. If Paul Reiser had gotten away, I think there would have been mutiny all those years ago.
The last like I have about this movie is the black guy lives.
Yep.
He actually survives the movie. They avoided that trope. And you definitely thought he was going to die there for a second. But Chris Pratt ended up saving him. So that's all that matters. And it just was nice to see him at the end of the movie chauffeuring people around, like telling him to go here and there. And you're like, oh, he's still alive and well, which is good. And that's my likes, man. So how about yours?
I really like that they were able to show some new things, which it wasn't just the same park. It was a brand new park. Yeah. And it was, much bigger. And I thought that put the stakes a lot higher. And I thought that the Mosasaurus attraction was very cool. Is it Mosasaurus?
I think it's Mosasaurus.
Well, it's a big underwater dinosaur that eats everything, which is
and
great.
It's so cool that he. I loved how they designed it to where the audience actually just lowers to see him underwater. I was like, oh, that's so freaking cool.
And what's great is there's a callback for it. So it isn't just something cool. It actually plays a part at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it does. And like, God, that end scene was just as ridiculous as it was just so damn awesome. And I loved seeing all the dinosaurs just battling each other out. It was nice seeing the old T-Rex save the day again.
Right, yeah.
It was great, man. That's just definitely a good part of that movie.
I felt that the best part of this thing was still the velociraptors. And you mentioned how much character they had. I was real disappointed that more of them didn't survive because I was rooting for the raptors as opposed to the
I know. Who would have thought? You're sitting there just rooting for the raptors through this movie.
Something else too, which maybe isn't really a like or a quirk, but the scene with, you had mentioned all the flying dinosaurs attacking the crowd. There's a assistant. Bryce Dallas Howard had this assistant that was supposed to be watching the boys.
Yeah, Zara.
And I just now thought of this, but she gets picked up and taken away and dropped in that tank.
Yeah.
And as a result, Mosasaur, right, comes up.
Mosasaurus.
And snatches one of the flying dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And did he swallow her?
I think that's what happened. I think that was the same one that was messing. It was the same one that was messing with her, like dunking her in the water and up and down. And that action caused the Mosasaurus to freaking come up and just eat it. It's so weird because they showed that scene in the trailers, like all of them. And you don't have no idea watching the trailer that there is a woman also being eaten at the same time.
Which is great. Anytime a human gets eaten by a dinosaur, it's great. Right?
It is. Oh, man. Now that we're done with our quirks and likes, let's get into the ratings here.
Right.
Now, I think this movie is fun, entertaining, and it pays a lot of homage to the original that we all love. And I want to give it a go see it. If you're a fan of the Jurassic Park series, buy it. I'm definitely going to buy it.
I will say go see it and buy it as well.
It's just too good. It's very entertaining, and I love all the homage to the original. It really made me love the movie even more.
Yeah, I think really the only thing about it that bugged me was the B plot about weaponizing the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was a weird plot device.
I think everything else was really great, and I think they need to find a way to get Chris Pratt and velociraptors into another movie.
It doesn't even have to be a Jurassic Park movie.
It doesn't. No, it could just, it's whatever. It could just be a mockumentary. I'd go see it.
Or a buddy comedy.
Right, yeah. He and Blue are just like fighting crime.
I'd be okay with that. All right, now that we're done with the review, I want everybody to go to our website, halfpasspodcast.com.
Like us on Facebook.
And give us a rating on iTunes. 5 stars is always good.
We're also on Stitcher and Libsyn.
Email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com. Go ahead and send us an email, questions, or any ways to help us improve the show. Also, tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
Tweet us. Yes, please do tweet us.
Thank you.
Send us a tweet.
Thank you all for listening, and thank you for your support. Next week we have Inside Out, the new Pixar movie.
All right.
This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.